At this time, the chair would recognize for presentation on federal recognition, Chairman Harvey Godwin Jr.
Again, it's an honor to be here before the Tribal Council and the Tribal membership tonight. We did a background, no, not a background check. We just did a check on all the council, and you have that form in front of you. The 44 original petitioners for Lumbee recognition in 1888, and just about every council member has bloodline back to one of those petitioners. And we wanted you to know that and know who your people were that did that great event to start where we are now. In June 20th of 2019, the Lumbee Tribal Council passed a resolution authorizing the tribe to work with 2 Washington, D.C. law firms for pro bono work on behalf of the Lumbee tribe for full federal recognition. This is something we haven't had to this degree at any time during our recognition efforts. And tonight, the lead attorney for that is Paul Moorhead with Powers, Powell, Suit in Verville. And he's going to be online, so he'll be talking on phone, and he's going to give you an overview of the chronology of efforts that we've been doing for the last few months. You on, Paul?
Hello.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
Hey, Chairman. How are you?
Great. So, Paul Moorhead, you're speaking to the Tribal Council in a room full of tribal membership, so I'll yield to you to give them the overview of our efforts for full federal recognition over the past few months.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, Chairman. Good evening, Speaker Burnett and members of the council and members of the tribe. I'm happy to be able to speak with you tonight. A period of years ago, when I was on the staff of the Indian Affairs Committee, I visited the Lumbee tribe a couple of times, one with my wife, and it was a delightful experience, and it was good to be with the Lumbee people. But I appreciate the chairman and the council inviting me on to talk a little bit about what we've been doing here since the summer of 2019. And if you will indulge me, I'd like to just go through some of the things that we've been doing and bring you up to speed on what December will hold. I hope you will be happy about the progress that we've made. So the Lumbee tribe engaged my firm. Well, let me back up for a minute. Before I came to the law firm that I'm at now, I was the chief counsel and staff director for the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs in the U.S. Senate. And my boss was Ben Nighthorse Campbell, who's an enrolled Northern Cheyenne Indian from Montana. He was the first Indian person to chair the Indian Affairs Committee, and Ben was chairman of that committee for about 10 years. And so I left that committee in 2004 and went to my law firm. So in August of this year, in fact, on my birthday, the tribe engaged my firm on a pro bono basis to help with the tribe's recognitions efforts. The tribe in May, 3 months earlier, had retained the Denton's law firm, which is a very large firm, like 10,000 lawyers all over the world. So the Powers law firm, which is my firm, and the Denton's law firm have been working with Arlinda Locklear and Jody Cummings and under the direction of the chairman, along with individuals within the tribe and the legal department, on hashing out a strategy for getting a Lumbee Recognition Act bill passed the House and the Senate and to the President in this Congress, which is the 116th Congress. And the Congress is this year and next year. So we have until next December 31st of 2020 in order to get this done, but we're hoping to get it done before then. So what have we been doing since the summer? Well, I think we've developed a pretty thoughtful strategy to get the bill to the President. We have been active and researching the last 130 years of efforts of the tribe to get recognition, as you know all too well. We have identified the past bills and the sponsors of those bills and what happened to those Lumbee Recognition Act bills in the past. We've drafted a bunch of white papers and other memoranda for congressional offices so they understand exactly what the situation of the Lumbee tribe is. In fact, just this afternoon, I was in the office of Congressman Paul Cook. Congressman Cook is the ranking member on the Subcommittee on Indigenous Peoples in the House. That's where our bill is going to be heard in December. And he is a very pro-tribal Republican from California. So we have met with a lot of people, and I don't know, Chairman Godwin, whether you have identified all the offices we met with, but with regard to the two bills that have been introduced so far, that is H.R. 1964 by Congressman Butterfield and 5 co-sponsors, Republicans and Democrats alike. And on the Senate side, we have S. 1368, that is a Richard Burr, Senator Burr bill, and I'm happy to report, if you haven't heard from the chairman already, that Senator Tillis, who was long resisting signing on, has in fact signed on as a co-sponsor. That's a very big deal, as I'll talk about in a moment. But let me just list the offices we've met with, if you'll indulge me for a few minutes. These are all members of the House. Butterfield, Hudson, David Price, Mark Meadows, Raul Grijalva, who's the chairman of the House Resources Committee, Rob Bishop, Ruben Gallego, Deb Holland, who's a member of a New Mexico Pueblo from New Mexico, Don Young, long-term Alaska congressman, big friend of Indian country, Mike San Nicolas from Guam, John Curtis from Utah, Ed Case, Sharice Davids, who is a Ho-Chunk tribe member from Kansas. I represent the Ho-Chunks, and Sharice is a member of that tribe. Kevin Hearn, Oklahoma, Matt Cartwright, Betty McCullum, great champion of Indian country. Tom Cole, Chickasaw member from Oklahoma. David Rouser from North Carolina, Paul Cook, today I met with, I mentioned. And then the Senate side, Richard Burr, Tom Tillis, Tim Scott, South Carolina, John Hoven, who's the chairman of the Indian Committee in the Senate, Brian Schatz from Hawaii, Tom Udall from New Mexico, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, John Tester, Montana, Steve Daines, Montana, and Maria Cantwell, Washington. So this list, this is a good sized list of people that we've met with. We've also met with the committees of jurisdiction over Indian affairs in the House and the Senate, including Senate Committee on Indian Affairs, where I used to work. Members of our team have also met with leadership offices in an effort to let them know what the bill does and what we're trying to get done. We have encouraged letters of support from the North Carolina legislators, including Butterfield and Hudson, as well as letters of support from state of North Carolina officials and others. Members of the team have attended the annual meetings of the National Congress of American Indians and the United South and Eastern Tribes to ensure that no negative resolutions or letters opposing the Lumbee Recognition Act are approved by the tribes of those organizations. We have gotten a letter of support from the Baltimore American Indian Center, which is a pan-Indian group in Baltimore, but a lot of Lumbees are members. That letter would go to the House Majority Leader, Steny Hoyer, he represents a district in Maryland. We have worked with, and this is getting near the end, so I appreciate your patience. We've worked with the staff of the Committee on Resources to get a hearing date on our bill, H.R. 1964, and that hearing date is December 4th of 2019. And we are currently just starting to work on drafting testimony for the chairman, coordinating the experts, the expert, it'll be one person who will be there to testify on behalf of the Lumbee tribe, and other prep work as we go into the next 2 weeks. And today's the 21st, so we're really looking at 2 weeks notice or so before that hearing happens. I think the chairman may have mentioned, we discussed internally in the team the wisdom, the value, really, of having the Lumbee Warriors Association attend. That's a very powerful visual and lends additional credence to the message that we're trying to get across to these decision makers, these federal lawmakers, which is the Lumbee tribe is a tribe in all of its aspects, and the only thing that it lacks is the blessing from the federal government to make that formal. And the last thing I'll say, and I'm happy to answer questions, is we have chairman and the team have regular meetings, conference calls, and of course a lot of emails back and forth about these developments and how we can make sure that that hearing date of December 4th, is of maximum benefit for the bill. And just one last thing on procedure. So on December 4th, the Subcommittee on Indigenous Peoples will have a hearing on the Lumbee Recognition Act bill. After that hearing, Chairman will probably be sent a letter from the committee with some follow-up questions. I think it's going to be a very friendly hearing. We're trying to identify now if there are any members of Congress who are hostile to us, understanding our longtime opponent in the western part of the state may be active on this. And after the hearing on December 4th, then we shift gears a little bit and we try to get the hearing into the full Committee on Natural Resources business meeting, at which time they will consider it and send the bill, we hope and think and expect, to the full House of Representatives for its consideration. And then from there, the House will take it up, we think. We think the House will pass it, and it will be sent to the Senate. And we have, I think, a very good plan involving Senator Byrd and Senator Tillis on how we're going to get that bill in the next 14 months to the President of the United States for his signature. So that's really, in a nutshell, what we've been working on and what our plan is and what we're trying to do. If there are any people wondering, what can I do? What can members of the tribe do? I would say continue to, agitate with your member, newly minted Dan Bishop, who's also a co-sponsor of the bill. And he's fully aware of how important this is to the Lumbee community and the Lumbee people. But it never hurts to keep rattling people's cages, in newspapers and on the radio and with your elected people down there in North Carolina. So, Chairman, that's all I really have to say, but I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has any.
Paul, I would just like to say thank you to you and some of your staff who I've seen walking the halls and all the hard work they've been doing on behalf of the Lumbee people. Heather Sibison from Denton's, Arlinda Locklear, Jody Cummins, Natasha John, Kevin Wadzinski, Rose Petoski, Nora Abhor, and Kathy Walsh. And the main thing about it is what I'd like everybody to understand is if we had retained a law firm like this, it would have cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of dollars for the work they've done thus far. And as you can see, they definitely have a plan, and we have partners that we've never had before, and we have support in the Senate side. He's kind of smoothed over the part about Senator Tillis, but that we didn't think we were going to get that when we left with his endorsement, and that's a big deal. So I'd like to talk to all of you individually or together in the next couple of days between now and Thanksgiving, and tribal members, because these people do listen to texts or read texts, and they read emails, and they pay attention to them. So there's a lot of work that the people can do to come together and make this happen. The law firms, one thing, they're professionals. They're the best in Washington, D.C. and the United States, helping us for free. But there's a lot of work, heavy lifting we need to do as a people, and I hope we will do that. Thank you, Paul. God bless you, and thank you for taking time out tonight. And happy
You
Thanksgiving.
bet, Chairman, and it's been nice speaking to you all tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.